Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are. Welcome to today's session, which is the Sustainability Roadmap from Commitment to Action. We have currently about 30 or 40 people on the call. We are expecting about 200 people. So we'll give it a minute or so, maybe 2 to 3 minutes just for people to make their way to the call before we start. In the meantime, we invite you to go onto the chat room and just introduce yourself, just write your name and your organization and your role so we can know who's in the room. Thank you. Just confirming that we are audible. Anyone can give us thumbs up to confirm that we are audible. Fantastic. Thank you for that. So we'll just have you guys just type in your name and your organization or even your role in the chat box so we know who's in the room as we wait on more participants to come in. Thank you. Thank you, Melody from Mobit, Morris from AB Ethos. We see Kenya Power, Benson. We see quite a large number of people from Nation Media Group, KPLC. Thank you for introducing yourselves, patients from Nation Media Group. As you join in, just put in your name and your organization so we can know who is in the room. Thank you, Ella from I&M Bank. We're just approaching the start of the meeting. It's 10:05, so we should be jumping into it right now. So let me start off by saying once again, welcome. From wherever you're joining, we know that we have people joining even regionally from Tanzania, from Uganda, from different organizations. So welcome everybody. We're glad to have you here. Today is not about overwhelming you with theory. If you are here for our first session, you know that we are very action oriented and try to keep things very relevant for business. So today's about action, practical, doable, realistic action. So by around 11:30, maybe say about an hour and a half from now, we'll be done. But we'll leave you with a lot more knowledge that you can use to drive sustainability within your organization. Thank you once again. We're seeing First Assurance, Kenya Re, NCBA, ISPAC. Welcome, welcome everybody. All right, so next slide, please. So just some housekeeping for the call, just the usual things. Please do not unmute your microphone unless we have requested for that during a Q&A, perhaps towards the end. There will be interactive polls for you to participate. I will share the links on the chat for each poll. You can also scan each code as it comes up to put in your responses. So let's be interactive and engage with the questions so we can tweak and tailor our presentation as we go forward through the call. The session is being recorded as is our standard, and we will share this for later viewing post the call. So will be shared for those who registered to the call. So what we expect to have at the end of this call is to have you build a baseline where you can set smart targets and assign ownership to different initiatives within your organizations. But more importantly is to leave with a very clear 30, 60, or 90-day action plan towards implementation. So what we're really looking at today is how to action a sustainability, how to develop and then action a sustainability roadmap. So before we get in too far, noting that there are quite a number of people on the call who are joining us for the first of this, which is our second webinar. I'd like us to take a small break just to introduce ourselves. My name is Stephen Kimenya, and I am the program manager here at Global Compact Network Kenya, and I support the development and implementation of different programmatic initiatives. I'll allow my colleague Ivonia to also introduce herself.
Thank you so much, Stephen. My name is Ivonia Arena. I am the Participant Engagement Assistant Manager here at the Global Compact Network Kenya. It's a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you so much for taking this step to walk with us, or for us, allowing us to walk with you on the sustainability journey from commitment to actual implementation. Looking forward to a very interactive session and to hear from you as well.
All right, thank you, Ivonia. So on to it. We'll start with a very quick recap of our previous last session. This shouldn't take more than a couple of minutes. So if you attend our previous sessions, this would be very familiar. If you're new, this is the very, very abbreviated 1 minute, 2 minute version. So the three pillars for sustainability are environmental, social, and governance, as we call ESG. All right, so the environmental pillar is about your relationship with the environment, the planet and its resources. Issues about energy, carbon emissions, water, waste management, biodiversity. That's what we cover under the environmental pillar. Under the social pillar, it's about how your business interacts with the people and the communities that it serves. So internally, your employees, externally, your clients, and also those who are impacted by your works in your immediate environments. So your worker rights, their safety, looking at gender equity, working conditions, and also ensuring the social well-being of the environment in which you operate. Governance is about ethics and accountability. So where are your policies? Who handles different policies around data and privacy and security? How are you reporting? So that's what we cover under the governance pillar. So we went through this in our first session. We will not go deep into them today by way of definition, but we'll now look into the application of this into your sustainability roadmap. Next slide, please. So again, still looking at the recap, the regulatory landscape is one of the key drivers for pressure and why many people are now taking sustainability as a key issue within the organization. So just to mention a few, you have the Capital Markets Authority of the Stock Exchange, which has mandated ESG disclosures since 2002. So if you're a listed company, you're required to disclose your performance, and this is mandatory. CBK has a climate risk guidance. So if you're in the financial sector, if you're a bank or borrowing from a bank, this affects you directly. So banks now assess climate-related risks in their lending. We have the Energy Management Regulations of 2025. This one came into effect this year. So if you are a designated facility or a large manufacturer or a commercial building, now energy audits are required and you must comply with these. And there are benefits also to your organization as well as savings, understanding how your energy matrix looks like. There are pressures coming from across the border, across the continents. For example, with the EU, there are pressures on sustainability due diligence and disclosure. So if you export, you'll find these pressures coming directly to you. We have other ones like the IFRS 1 and 2, which is a global reporting standard that Kenya has already adopted. So organizations which are listed as public interest entities, meaning you operate for the masses, they are mandated already to report against these standards. SMEs, you have regulations which are coming up very, very soon in 2029. So now is the right time to prepare. And for other large organizations who are non-public interest entities, this comes to your desks next year. So time is of the essence and time is to act now. Next slide, please. So whilst regulations are important, what we also covered in our previous presentation was that there are benefits for ESG integration within your business. So one very important one is that it affects your money, how you get your capital, how you operate with efficiency. So if you look at these 4 different pillars, we have gone through them as the benefits that you can use to justify any investments that you need to make within your organization. So from a perspective of getting cheaper capital through sustainability-linked loans, whether it is from operational efficiency and you can have bottom line savings by using more more energy and resource efficiency measures within your organizations. You can add more financial value to your organization by increasing your revenue through contracts, by demonstrating compliance to different sustainability initiatives. And you can also avoid now losses that come through litigation and downtime. So how do you manage your risk, the level of risk that's tied to non-compliance or not having an active ESG integration strategy within your organization? So these are the general benefits that we had shared that really demonstrate the reason why, beyond regulation, that ESG should be alive within your organization. Next slide. So at this point, we just want to, as I had mentioned, engage on a quick poll just to see where your organization is on your sustainability journey. For those who are unable to scan this code, I will quickly copy and paste it in the chat box so you can click and access it immediately. Doing that shortly.
Thank you for the responses. Thank you, Valeria.
Great. So we're seeing a few responses coming in. 1, 2. You can scan the code immediately just to answer the first question, which is just which organization you're coming from. And then we'll move into the next question as we see more responses coming in.
Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. Yes.
Great. So we're seeing some consulting firms. We are seeing technology through Core Internet, Virtuous Life. We're seeing the financial sector. We're seeing insurance sector, manufacturing sector, telecoms. I can see Lidcom Kenya. See quite a number of participants of Global Compact. Also seeing organizations that are not participants. Welcome as well. Equaloop Solutions, Digman, Great. So we have about 23, 25 responses. Happy to move to the next question.
Let's keep the responses coming. This is the
Great. So yeah, perhaps you can take it from here.
Yeah, keep the responses coming. We are still open. We're 86 of us. We only have 24 responses. Let's see. Thank you. Yes, keep the responses coming. The link is on the chat function, or you can scan the QR code to give us your feedback. Yeah, so this is really helpful because you can see that most of you are, in the baseline in progress stage or that phase. And that's exactly why we designed today's session. For those who are already reporting, stick around. We'll still cover how to how to move from basic reporting to strategic integration and also continuous improvement. So you can see there's a lot of need for this particular session, and that is what guides our programming and our support to you. Asanteni. So we'll stop at that and move on to why we are here today. So confidence to start your sustainability journey is very important. Even if you feel you're starting from zero, you're at the baseline stage. Even if you are the only, lead or sustainability person within your organization, these are the first 3 steps that will help you in actualizing sustainability within your organizations. Additionally, we'll touch on tools that will help you or guide you to measure what matters. And it's not everything, and also not 200 KPIs, just the core metrics that are material to your business, and also practical tools or templates that will show you that we can guide on how you customize for your own reporting and also tracking. Then we'll also be looking or issuing more clarity on the regulatory requirements, what is mandatory, what is coming, and how do you prioritize compliance without losing your mind. Then I will also touch on, the strategies for team engagement. You can't do this alone. We insist that sustainability is the whole organization effort. You need buy-in from operations. You need buy-in from HR or people and culture. You need buy-in from finance and also from your suppliers, and we'll show you how to get that. Then lastly, it is to connect you to a supportive network. You're not alone. All these are 80-something companies here, and the 270-something companies that are in the Global Compact Network Kenya are facing the exact same challenges. So peer learning is one of the most valuable resources that you have. So the goal here is to make it real. So for the rest of this session, we are going to follow a case study, and the case study is Green Valley Agro Limited. It's a hypothetical company. They are a horticulture exporter. They cut flowers and fresh vegetables and export them to the outside markets. They are selling primarily to the UK and the EU. And I'm so sure it sounds familiar for some of the organizations represented here today. They have 800 employees across 2 sites, that is in Naivasha and Eldoret. And of these 800 staff, there's a mix of permanent staff and also those on contract, those seasonal workers. And they also work with smallholder farmers on contract. They have pack houses, they have cold chain infrastructure to store the vegetables and flowers, the whole logistics setup. So what is their current state? They have manual systems, they have fragmented data, their utility bills are in one folder, the HR records are somewhere else, production data somewhere else, different spreadsheets altogether. But they have a global GAP certification, and like some of you, you have, what's that certification? Yes.
You're right.
Yes, they have different certifications, so they're not starting from zero, but their sustainability data is scattered. And what is their pressures? Just like many of you, they have rising energy costs, from diesel, electricity, the cold chain operations, and it's killing their margins. The EU buyers, their local buyers, they're also demanding carbon data. So there are long questionnaires about scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions, their water usage, traceability, they're scrambling to respond. Yeah. The bank is also asking for, risk policy from them, and they want to expand. They need financing, and the bank's credit committee has said that they require the environmental and social risk management framework before they approve. I think this might sound familiar to most of you. So the CEO for Green Valley says that we know that we need to act and in order to keep our contracts and access also cheaper loans, but you don't know where to start or how to organize the data. And if you feel that way, this is the right session for you. We are going to solve Green Valley Agro's challenges together, step by step, as we learn and as we understand the roadmap and as you build your own roadmap. As you can see, there are 4 phases that will be guiding them through. The phase 1 is assess and commit. Phase 2, plan and prioritize, implement, and then there's the phase 4. Now, if I can give you more details on Green Valley so that you can understand the full picture. As we've said, they are in the horticulture space, so roses, flowers, French beans, snow peas, etc. Their operations, the 2 main houses in Eldoret and Naivasha, and they have all those that we mentioned, the cold chain and everything. Their markets are in EU and UK, and they sum up to 95% of their revenue. They have other markets in Netherlands, Germany, etc. Their workforce, that we said, 800 employees, and their current system, they use basic Excel, basic utility metering, manual spreadsheets, etc. So that is their starting point. And what that means is that you have to have a starting point, and you have to know at what level are you starting from. So if we are honest about their challenges, their current challenges is the fragmented data that we have mentioned, the EU buyer pressure, the rising costs on energy, the access to finance challenge where they are required to submit an environmental and social risk assessment, and also their supplier variability. But there is hope, yeah? So the hope there is or where they aim to be, is they aim to secure a sustainability-linked loan by 2027. And what will that do for them? It will reduce interest costs, and also it will fund their expansion. They are also aiming for energy efficiency to achieve a 20% reduction in their energy intensity by 2027. In terms of gender equity, they're looking at increasing 40% of women in their management by 2028. For safety excellence, lost time injury frequency, that is what that stands for, they're looking to reduce it to below 0.8. And in terms of responsible sourcing, they are hoping to ensure 100% of the tier 1 suppliers assigned to their supplier code of conduct. Now, I'll take just this 1 minute to also just gather to hear from you, gather your thoughts on what the biggest barrier to getting started is. And you can either scan the QR code on the screen, or the link is shared there on the chat function. Please give us your information, your feedback, so that we can know where we are focusing our energies on in regards to the barriers that you're facing. So we'll take just a minute, just quickly. The link is on the chat function. We can scan the QR code and give us your feedback. So what is your biggest barrier to getting started? If you haven't started, or if you're just at the baseline stage, what is that biggest barrier that you are having? Please share your feedback. Okay, so it's good. We are glad that the number of new leadership buy-in is not quite a challenge. We can see data systems and tools being one very key challenge. Budget somewhere in there. What to measure? That's quite a challenge because there's a lot. Thank you for your feedback. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. It will give an indicative guidance on what barriers we are supporting you with. With leadership buy-in, you are convinced, but your board and your CEO isn't prioritizing it. How do you get them to prioritize sustainability? Yeah, with data systems, it's quite a challenge. In the previous presentation, we noted that it is the number one challenge. You don't have the software or the systems to track your ESG metrics. I will share some resources that can support with that. Yeah, budget and return on investment case. Yeah, you can't get your budget approved because you haven't proven the return. How do you get past that? I'm glad what to measure has reduced in challenge, if I can say that. So, but I know there are a number of possible KPIs and you don't know where to focus. This is the session that will identify that. Keep your answers coming. We are more than 23. The link is in the chat or scan the QR code. Yeah, for staff capacity, it's good that it's at a lower stage as well. That means you are actually within the team, you're building capacity, ensuring that we are on the right track. So I think we'll stop at that. And this is really insightful. And we can see budget and return on investment being quite a big barrier to your sustainability. We're going to address every single one of these barriers within the next sessions. So I'd like to go back to Green Valley's case study. And here is their 4-phase journey. The first journey, and you don't have to do everything within 1 year. Phase 1 on assessing and committing. That is between month 1 to 3. You want to secure leadership by get your board approval. And that is where we come on board as UN Global Compact. We are open to sessions with your board and also your CEO to also just get them understanding why sustainability and why it is important for your organization. Within assessing and committing is also within that phase, it's also the opportunity where you get your baseline data. And here you're looking at 12 months of utility bills, HR records, etc. Identify your material topics at also phase 1 of assessing and committing. And we'll take you through how you go about that. And also the milestone that you aim to achieve here after 90 days is that you have a complete baseline assessment. From other participants, sustainability managers who are participants, we engage them to understand how they came about their baseline assessment. And the answers or the feedback that we got is that one, to conduct that gap analysis, look at other industry players that are, on the right track of sustainability. What are they doing? What would you like to emulate from their organization? How are they doing it? And you can look within, how do you get the data from industry players? The sustainability report. For example, Safaricom is the longest, I believe, organization in Kenya. Kenya-owned organization that's been at sustainability for quite some time. If that is an organization within your scope, what are they doing? Look at their sustainability reports, their impact reports, and all that. You can go through the social media, the LinkedIn pages of the organizations that you want to base your sustainability performance against. And then look at the various frameworks. GRI is also a good framework that also offers, metrics or frameworks for SMEs, for medium businesses, and for large enterprises. And there, then you customize your baseline according to your operations. So no two baseline assessments can be the same or will be the same, but from that you're able to identify or complete on your baseline assessment. Phase 2 on planning and prioritizing. One is to set SMART goals for the next 12 to 24 months. For the next 4 to 6 months is to set your targets. Define your SMART goals for those particular periods for the next 2 years, 12 to 24 months. Set your budgets in place for quick wins and also for tools that you will require. Without tools, then you are not moving anywhere. If you have a limitation, then really all you have is your baseline assessment on paper, but the action is lagging. And also joining the UN Global Compact or being a part of the UN Global Compact provides you with the right tools and also the platforms that will get you starting on that journey. Then assign owners to each work stream when you create that roadmap structure. And the milestone that you aim to achieve here is you have approved targets and you have an action plan for the next 180 days. Phase 3 on implementing and integrating, you execute the quick wins. So identify what quick wins are. Is it changing to LEDs? Is it leak repairs? The efficiency in reporting, any repairs that are required that lose you money or lose time and all that. Do you have any policies that you need to roll out? So identify the quick wins and execute them. 2, deploy tracking systems. Do you have monthly dashboards that are spread across for all relevant parties to be feeding in the information? And then train your staff and also engage your suppliers. What is the milestone that you aim to achieve at phase 3? Is that you have an operational dashboard that is live by the time you reach month 12. Lastly, the last phase is phase 4 on measuring and reporting. And on measuring and reporting, you're looking at reviewing your performance versus the targets that you had set. Additionally, it is also about reporting, so publishing your sustainability report internally first and then externally, and also continuous improvement, iterate and also scale once you've identified the gaps. The milestone that you aim to achieve here is to ensure that you have your first public report. And with the UN Global Compact, there is the communication on progress report, which is a means of communicating your sustainability performance. So if you're just starting, focus on phase 1 and phase 2 in your first year. Don't try to do everything at once. Crawl, walk, run, but start somewhere. So we want to dive into step 1, which is leadership buy-in and governance. Without it, you are fighting an uphill battle. So here are the 4 pillars of good ESG governance. The first one is strategy alignment. Your sustainability ambition must be linked directly to your business goals. It shouldn't be vague. Don't position ESG as a nice to have, as CSR, but position it as, it protects our revenue, it reduces costs, and it also unlocks cheaper capital. So do a quick SWOT, a strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats analysis. What are the ESG related risks? There is loss of buyers, there is regulatory fines. What are the opportunities? There's the sustainability linked loans, there's the efficiency in savings. Secure your executive sponsorship, that is the CEO, the CFO, and not just, the CSR team. The second that is the policy framework. You need to have foundational policies in place. Health and safety, human rights, anti-corruption, environmental policies. And all these policies are also policies you get to learn as being a part of the UN Global Compact. So if you are an existing participant, ensure that you are part of the accelerator programs or supported through Steve's department, that's programs team, to understand how do you come up with these policies. Additionally, develop a supplier code of conduct that clearly states your expectations to the suppliers. And we've also made it easier for companies that have not identified or have not come up with their supplier code of conduct. There's the UN Global Compact Kenya Code of Ethics that you can have your supplier sign and work with that as you work on your own supplier code of conduct. Then review your existing policies, ensuring that they align with your ESG goals. You might already have 60% of what you need. You're just not calling it ESG. So you need to understand that. And then the third phase is the structure and rules. Appoint a dedicated ESG leader, a focal point. It doesn't have to be a new hire, and it can also be someone from ops, from finance, or compliance who takes that coordination role. And then from a cross-functional ESG committee, which is very important, we do encourage companies to have a committee of champions, ESG or sustainability champions, where you have players from different departments represented within that committee. Meet monthly or quarterly to ensure that you are aligning your ESG goals with the organization's operations. Then integrate ESG responsibilities into your job descriptions. The procurement officer should know where they're responsible for supplier ESG data. The marketing officer should know where their responsibilities lie within sustainability or ESG. Then lastly, oversight and KPIs. Add ESG as a standing agenda item in your quarterly board meetings. Even if it is just for 10 minutes, ensure that it is included. Then put the ESG KPIs on executive scorecards, yeah? Safety, diversity, energy intensity, ensure that they are included in there. Then link your performance to compensation. It's quite a strange, or rather a far-fetched role that most Kenyan companies are not yet doing that, or most African companies, to be broad. But linking performance to compensation, it just shows how serious you are. Even if it is 5 to 10%, it weighs and sends a strong signal. So the goal is to make sustainability everybody's job and not one person's impossible burden. Going back to Green Valley Agro, how did they secure, the board buy-in? What was their pitch? They didn't present a 50-slide deck as this. As you know, our high-level executives will not have the patience for all that, or on Paris Agreement and all that. They just presented a one-pager. And the one-pager targeted risk. That was their focus. They focused on risk. We could lose 40% of our revenue if we can't provide, carbon data to the EU buyers. Or 3 of our competitors already lost contracts last year. 3 of our competitors are on this trajectory and they're getting better business or better returns. And then they also focused on the opportunity cost. Energy efficiency, the projects they can save us, say, 8 million per year within the 18-month payback. So you need to have real data, real information. So it's not about a nice to have, will look good. It's not about branding. As you know, the highest level executives are also looking at the numbers. Then on compliance, there's of course the regulatory requirements that are required. There's CBK, there's NEMA, there's NEC here, and we are not compliant. How do we get on that compliant board? We need to actually be on the sustainable part. When you've quantified everything, you've made it about money and risk. And it's not just about ethics and brand. Then on board decisions, the board approves 3 things. The policy suite, and that is health and safety, human rights, and also anti-corruption policies. That is technically governance and also social sustainability. Then the board also approves on UN Global Compact membership or participation. Why UN Global Compact? Because it's a public commitment to the 10 principles. Then the CEO mandate, there's the formal tasking of the CEO to actually lead the roadmap execution, the quarterly progress reports, of course, received from you, the rest of the team. Then the strategic outcomes, you look at the ESG KPI that are added to the executive scorecard, you're looking at budget allocation, and you're also looking at a very clear mandate where sustainability has become a strategic pillar, and it's reported alongside your financial performance. So frame ESG in business language, don't frame it in marketing. As a marketer, I feel offended, but that is the case. And also identify the risk, opportunity, compliance, return on investment, very, very key. And that's the language that the board understands. Step 2 is materiality assessment. So we've come from baseline assessment and we've gotten the leadership buy-in. Now, what do we actually focus on? You can tackle, 200 ESG. You can't tackle all those 200 ESG topics at one go. You need to prioritize. And to prioritize, there's the 4-step process to identify what your important topics or material topics are. One, identify your stakeholders. Who cares about your ESG performance? Is it your workers, your employees and their unions? Is it your suppliers, the smallholder farmers, the providers of services that you need, the buyers that you're targeting, the lenders, the regulators, or the communities, the people around your operations. Once you've identified your stakeholders, assess the topics, survey those particular groups, and use proxies such as questionnaires, regulatory requirements that are given there. Look at the framework requirements, get feedback from your employees. That way, you're able to identify the important ESG topics, and you'll identify them on these 2 dimensions. There's the significance of impact. How big is the impact on environment and society? And there's also the influence on stakeholder decision. How do stakeholders care about the topics that they've highlighted? Step 3 is to prioritize and validate. Plot the matrix. As you can see on your right, there is a table there. One axis has the significance of impact against the importance to stakeholders. The topics that score high on both of these dimensions, those are your material topics, and those should be your top priorities. So for Green Valley, their material topics were energy and carbon emission, because why? There's the high cost, there's the buyer pressure. There was water usage. Why? Because there's water stress in Naivasha, for example. There is also worker health and safety, because they operate in high risk operations. There's also gender equity, because there is low female representation in management. There's supply chain labor practices. There's the smallholder farmer risks. Then the last step in identifying what is material to the organization is aligning them to frameworks. Map the material topics to the Sustainable Development Goals and also the UN Global Compact 10 principles. This makes reporting easier when that time comes. The bottom line is that materiality tells you where to focus, your limited time and also your budget. Don't try to boil the whole ocean. So I will take a small pause to drink water as I get feedback from you. Which ESG topic is most material to your business? Select a maximum of 3. Okay. The link is on the chat function. You can also scan the QR code and give us your feedback. This also goes to inform the programming or the support that we offer you in terms of the programs that we come up with, the trainings, the webinars, the interactive sessions, or the peer learning opportunities that we create for you guys. Thank you. Keep the responses coming. No matter where you are on your sustainability journey, or if you're also just wanting to understand this various ESG topic, you're an SME starting out on sustainability, this will also help us support you on that particular journey. Yeah. Thank you so much, and thank you for this feedback. There's real diversity depending on industry, I suppose, as you can see. but we'll be able to support and also, come up with a program or programming and sessions that can support you within these material topics. So step 3 is the baseline assessment, which from the first feedback, this is where a number of us are. And we want to be as practical as possible. With baseline assessment, you understand where you are right now. You can't set your targets if you don't know where you're starting from. So step 1 is data scopes and boundaries. Collect 12 months of historical data for the previous year. Get the finance to give you how much you paid in electricity, get HR to give you the records that are required. When you define your organization boundaries, you're measuring what your own organization has in terms of facilities and also the spaces, etc., all those, that is in terms of the boundaries. And then identify the data sources and also get that information. Now, all data sources, power bills, diesel receipts, water bills, incident logs, procurement records, all that. Step 2 is on your environmental metrics. Look at energy, water, waste, get all those information or data that you have. The water that you've used or that you've withdrawn, the fuel that you've used by your company cars. If you're looking at scope 1, scope 2, if you're looking at scope 3, which is perfect or quite another extensive journey, you can also get that. Step 3, we're looking at the social indicators. The social indicators involve the workforce, and here do a simple head count, gender breakdown, the turnover rate, how many did you have, how many did you lose? Do you have exit interviews to know why you lost your employees? Health and safety, look at the all recorded incidents, look at the lost time that you incurred as an organization as a result of injuries. Look at the number of hours that you've trained your employees on. On community, look at the community engagements that you've done. Are there any grievances that have been reported and have then been resolved? Step 4 is the supply chain and also the analysis of your supply chain. Assess your suppliers. How many active suppliers do you have? How many have been audited? How many of them are assigned to a code of ethics? Look at the intensity metrics. And here you're looking at, calculate all that per unit metric. So when you have this data, you will have gaps. Expect that. It's not perfect data, you have gaps, but it is now what you are identifying as your baseline. And from there, don't aim for perfection when you get that data. It will now give you the next step to your own journey. Looking at Green Valley, they identified these particular gaps within the 12-month data collection. In terms of energy and carbon, they consumed 337 watts or kilowatts per ton. And when they benchmarked against industry averages, they realized that they were 25% higher in terms of consumption. Water and waste, they identified that they have disposed of 120,000 metric tons. In water intensity, it was significantly higher. You can see the rising chart. And why? Because of the inefficient irrigation and also their cooling systems. Then on health and safety, they identified that the time they lost because of injuries was higher at 1.8, and they identified that they recorded 12 incidences, and you can see there's a dipping curve. So only 32% of the women in their workforce and only 8% of women in management. That is also something that they identified. And there was also high turnover and all that. So this is a sample, or rather an ideal tool for your baseline assessment. What you're looking for is have every month, have a category. As you can see, the different sheets, the different pillars are represented on different sheets. First, you have your organizational profile, add your company name, all that. Then on your environmental sheet, have all the metrics and a category, have the source of metrics, have the units, then have each and every month. This is a template that can be shared among every employee, and then they feed in the data. And at the end of it all, you have the data that you require. There's also the social and the governance metrics, or rather, sheets that also measures the different metrics. So list down the category and then the source of that metric, or rather the KPI, and then the units therein. Step 4 is to set SMART goals. Start with environmental targets. Be very specific with your goals, measurable, let them be achievable, let them be relevant and time-bound. These are examples of specific goals. Reduce energy intensity per unit output, or in terms of being measurable, 20% of our energy intensity should be low by December 2027. So ensure that your goals are SMART for each and every aspect. Environmental targets, social targets. Examples are under social targets. You want to reduce the lost time in injury frequency rate. You want to ensure that 40% of women are in management by 2028. You want to ensure that you have zero unaddressed grievances. In supply chain as well, have targets that are SMART, and also under governance, do the same. The key is to ensure that your targets are not ambiguous, but they drive real change and they are realistic enough that your team can actually implement or take up. For Green Valley, this was their target. They wanted to reduce on their energy intensity and their water intensity. As you can see, 2026, they are at 8%. 2027, they are at 15%. Quite a reachable target, and it's not ambiguous. They also, in their social targets, as you can see, from 1.2 to 0.9 under safety, and then for women in management from 36 to 40%. So don't be ambiguous within your targets. Step 5 is to build now your roadmap structure. Some of you are already at this point or have passed this point, and thank you for coming along on the journey with us. Here, define your work streams, break your sustainability programs into very clear pillars. Work stream 1 is on energy and water, that is the environment. Work stream 2 is on people and safety, that is the social aspect. Work stream 3 on supply chain, that is on governance. Work stream 4, reporting and compliance. So assign a lead for each and every work stream. Kindly note, as a sustainability or as the person in charge of sustainability within your organization, even as an SME, sadly as an SME, you carry the hat. But ensure that where you are, able, or you are a large organization, assign a lead for each work stream. And this person doesn't have to do the work, do all the work, but they can coordinate and report on the progress. Then step 2 is to create, integrate with the business cycles. Don't make sustainability separate from your own processes. Embed it. Be it in budgeting, include your ESG project in the annual budget. Procurement, add ESG criteria to your tender evaluation process. In strategic planning, align it to your 3 to 5 year plan. Step 3 is to create a RACI, and RACI means responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed for each and every initiative. For example, if you had LED, you're fitting LED within your operations, who is the responsible party? Is the facilities manager. Who is accountable? The operations director. Who is a consultant? Of course, finance and also procurement. And who is informed? That is the CEO and the board of the progress updates. Then lastly is to establish a review cadence. Ensure that you have scheduled monthly operation reviews to track progress. And with this, have quick 30-minute check-ins. Ensure that you prepare quarterly board packs, that the board is aware on whatever is happening. And with that, ensure that you also communicate how soon you need that data. So if you can quickly share what time frame you're planning for, we will really appreciate. For your sustainability roadmap, how soon do you want to get your sustainability roadmap running? The link is in the chat function. You can also scan the QR code. If you're just planning, if you're just starting, plan for 12 months, as you said, and then review it, or plan for 12 months with a view to 24 months. And your first 12 months should focus on baseline and quick wins. Yeah? Get started. That is the most important bit. Don't try to plan 5 years, out in detail right now. Plan slowly, step by step. It gets you across. I'm glad a number of you are on that 12-month journey. That is actually the ideal goal or the ideal time frame to plan out your sustainability roadmap. Thank you so much for your feedbacks. So 3 to 5 years, that is ideally good for you. I think we are all in agreement. We're seeing 93% of us are on that particular time frame. So we're trying to move quickly to factor in time. Step 6 is on resource allocation and budgeting. I remember this was quite a challenge that you all posed, the return on investment. So let's talk about money. How much is this thing going to cost? I believe you've gotten that question around a lot from your finance team. So you need to allocate budget across categories. Ensure that your baseline and your audits, the energy audits, they require finances, the water audits, the social audits, typically 500,000 to 2 million, depending on the scope. However, with our support from the UN Global Compact, it can help ease because there are tools that are already available for you. So if you are just starting out in your journey, we have tools that guide you on gender gap analysis. We have tools that guide you on living wage analysis. So there are various tools that can help cut down on that cost, but ideally you need to allocate funds. Metering and software, ensure that you have budgeted for that. ESG tracking tools. They don't come cheap, they don't come for free. It could be purchased or also payable in terms of time. So you need to customize your templates, and that takes quite some time and quite some training to ensure that is done. Then set aside quick wins, LED retrofit, etc. Include training and consultancy and also certification costs within your budgets. Then on financing options, ensure that you have, you present this, you explore all the opportunities that are available for, funding of your sustainability projects in-house. And why that eases the burden or the cost on your internal finances, consider models that are available for energy projects, identify available grants or partners that offer subsidized technical assistance, such as being a participant of the UN Global Compact, and also leverage on tax incentives for green investments. Lastly, in terms of ROI, return on investment framing. When you present this to your board or to the CFO, don't just show the cost, show the return. Look at the payback period. When you install, for example, LEDs, how soon does the company anticipate to see the reduced cost on electricity bills? And also risk avoidance. What's the cost of losing a major buyer or a NEMA fine? Quantify what you're avoiding. Also highlight your revenue, or rather revenue protection investment. This particular investment will protect the organization 400 million in annual revenue, and also lowers cost of capital. So bring that out very boldly and very clearly. So here's how Green Valley allocated their 12.5 million year one budget. As you can see, there was a budget for quick wins, there was a budget for metering, and all those tools that they require. They put 4.5 million for energy, 2.5 for metering and hardware and ESG software, 2 million for baseline audits, 1.5 million for staff training, 1 million and all that. But just to note is that Customize your budget according to your revenues. Don't be ambiguous, okay? Ensure that the budget that you present to your board and to their finance team is actually according to your organization. This is a look and feel of a sustainability action plan template. As you can see, we have the work stream, and then you identify the action item that you are working toward. List all the initiatives, and also, that cut across the different work streams. Who is the owner? Who's in charge of it? And as we said, identify an owner. When do you start? And then when do you end? What is the budget? What is the metric that you have for this budget? This informs, the return on investment. What is the target? What are we looking at? When we invest this money, are we going to reduce? Are we going to increase what? Ensure that you have the target there, have your status, and also look at the risk and how you mitigate it. When you use this, you use it to plan your 30, 60, 90-day plan. So we are at phase 3, which is the last half of your commitment or your action. And here we're talking about execution. We're talking about, okay, I don't have my presentation. Sorry about that. So we're talking about execution and also how you integrate it within your organization. So you dive into the quick wins. This is an example of a performance, a dashboard, an ESG performance dashboard. And we'll share a link that will guide you on how to come up with your own dashboard after the session. So step 7, identifying the quick wins. And this is in phase 3 of your action plan. When you identify quick wins, you're looking at low cost, you're looking at high impact actions that deliver visible results and very fast. Why? This builds on credibility, it helps demonstrate your return on investment, and also keeps your team motivated. So look at the different aspects. Energy efficiency, we're looking at water management, we're looking at people and safety. So the different metrics or the different initiatives that you have in place. The goal is to demonstrate your results in 90 days. When the board asks, what have you achieved so far? You need to have a concrete answer. For Green Valley, these were their 90-day quick wins. For energy efficiency, they reduced it by 11%. Why? They installed or retrofitted LED lighting in their houses. They compressed their air leaks. They optimized the generator runtime. For water, they reduced it by 6%. How? They had a smart irrigation scheduled, implemented. They found a way of quickly detecting leaks and also improved on how quick they respond to those repairs. On health and safety, they reduced the incidences by 25%. How? They had, talks or trainings on safety within their warehouses. They had PPE compliance checks. They had ensured that the near misses are reported promptly and adhered to. On supply chain, they improved it by 60%. How? They ensure that their top suppliers have signed their supplier code of ethics. So don't focus on all your suppliers. Look at, top 20, top 10, start from there. So they had self-assessment questionnaires that were deployed to the suppliers. They also were looking at the initial risk that is tiered. Now, step 8 is on your data systems and tracking. And I understand that, of course, it's, it's unglamorous, it's tedious. But if you can't measure it, then how are you managing it? It's very important that you measure your data. And if your data is a mess, then your reporting will also be a nightmare. 1, assign data owners. It's very, very important. And one person can be responsible for each KPI category. Energy data, look at, operations, or rather, general management. Water data, do you have a facilities manager? HR data, of course, the HR or people and culture. looks at headcount, looks at diversity, inclusion, the policies within that particular department, and all that. That's ideally for the HR manager. Safety data, look at the manufacturing manager, look at the HSC officer, that is health safety officer, who can identify the incidences, who can identify the trainings that you require. For supplier data, procurement should provide that data. They should own the data. So set monthly data cutoffs. All data must be submitted by 5th of the following month. When you set that fixed deadline and there is no exception, then you have the data that you require, because this is something that they are already doing and it is information that they already have. And then implement, the maker, checker, quality analysis process. That means person A enters the data, be it the officer, person B verifies it, that is the manager. What is the importance of that is that it reduces the errors by 80%. Then select your tools appropriately, be it Excel, Google Sheets, Tracker, but have it centralized on a SharePoint or a shared drive. In that way, everyone has access to it. And it doesn't have to be, fancy ESG software. For year one, use whatever you have. Automate where it's possible. If you can get Kenya Power to send you monthly bills, data via email or etc., ensure that you have that. Then data standardization, create a data dictionary. As sustainability owners or ESG leads, you are asking finance for scope 1 emissions, but they don't understand what that is. So ensure that you have, whatever you need, you have a data dictionary that defines what you're looking for, or, the units, the sources, the scope, etc., so that then you are understanding what that means. If it is energy intensity, you want them to give you that. What is the total kilowatts consumed divided by, give all that information. So train your teams. And then standardize conversion factors. So provide information technically, and that is the owner is the data analyst. Then last but not least is assurance readiness. Ensure that for every data point that you have or that you're reporting on, you keep the source file, and ensuring that if it is the Kenya Power bills, you have the bill somewhere stored. If it is the fuel receipt, you have it somewhere stored. Then audit your trails, and also lastly, have internal verification, dry runs annually. The goal is to build a data system that is very accurate, that is auditable, that also does not require, a lot of effort every other month. So this is an example of a look and feel of a tool for your monthly ESG metrics. You have the metrics on one column, then you have the unit. When you put such units, you can see it is very described, so they know how to calculate whatever it is that you need. And you have the monthly target, what was the actual and what was the discrepancy, what's the status, and is it on track or not. Step 9 on training and capacity building, very, very important. You cannot execute a sustainability roadmap alone. You need your whole entire team to understand their role. And that means training. And how do you structure your training? Have a staff induction. All new hires, also existing hires. Sustainability has been or is more key now than it was 5-10 years ago. So have a staff induction, embed the code of ethics in your onboarding process, ensure there's the health and basic trainings, the gender trainings, human rights training, ensure customer service, ensure that all those trainings are initiated. And then ensure that you also have data stewards, training on accurate measurement for your data. That helps you, cut down on, false data and also greenwashing a lot. So how do you read the meters? How do you log in the incidences correctly? Ensure that training is given. Quality assurance checks, as we say, maker, checker, officer, manager, or whoever it is. Then how do you also use the monthly ESG tracker? You have it, make sure that it's part of training. On operational supervisors, Incident, investigations are very important. Conduct root cause analysis, not just what happened, but also why that happened. How do you facilitate, toolbox talks, trainings to the nitty-gritty? Ensure that you have those trainings departmental, even much better, because then it aligns with the different departments. Also on resource efficiency, monitor, spot water leaks, etc. and all that. On leadership and finance, ESG and financial risk linkage. How does ESG affect your credit ratings? How does it affect the loan terms? How does it affect the interest on loans or the investor decisions? Have those kind of trainings. And also look at the sustainability linked loans and also all those governance that are available, and also the reporting obligations. Something that is very clear with the UN Global Compact, or being a participant of the UN Global Compact, a number of these trainings are offered. So make sure that when we share out information, we disseminate it to the rest of the staff so that then they are able to join you in the training, and it also cuts down on your training costs as an organization. For Green Valley, this is how they do it. They look at the engagement structures, they identify their green teams, giving the opportunity for bright ideas. They introduced that, and members or staff gave ideas, and they were rewarded with monthly cash rewards or different rewards. At ICA Lion, I can give that as a case study. They had the ESG day. They recognized their staff on ESG day. They had an ESG month earlier, and the department with the highest number of employees that took up the courses and completed the courses on the academy were awarded a trophy on the ESG day. For employees that were recognized as ESG champions, were awarded a cash voucher. And these are such of the ideas that actually help instill and embed sustainability in-house. Step 10 is on your supplier and value chain engagement. So here, your sustainability performance is not just about you, and it also encompasses the suppliers that you work with. So under the different, sustainability frameworks, the CSDDD or the EUDR, you are responsible for your value chain. And how do you engage your value chain? One, segment and map them. So risk assessment is very important. Categorize your suppliers from high risk, medium risk, low risk. That way, you know what measures to put in place. And then map your tier 1 suppliers, know who they are, what do they supply us with, how much do they supply us with, and how critical is their services to us. When you've done that, identify the traceability gaps for the different frameworks that are there. Step 2 is engagement tools. Ensure that you have self-assessment questionnaires for your supply chain. This way, it could be a simple Excel, survey form that gives you or calculates your data for you. And you're looking about their labor practices, you're looking at their environmental management, their certifications that they have, anything really that answers to your sustainability performance. When you start with your tier 1, then you can expand to your tier 2 suppliers. Look at the ESG clauses within, or include them within your supplier contracts, and also schedule supplier audits, site visit, etc. for those high-risk partners. Capacity building. So it's one thing to demand this of suppliers, but it is very important that you also capacity build them. Train them and coach them. Don't just demand from them, or don't just require them to join the UN Global Compact. Help suppliers improve on their sustainability. Share your best practices or their best practices, and also share templates with your suppliers. And lastly, host an annual supplier day focused on sustainability, or just a meeting, a virtual meeting. And Isuzu does this. I like that about them, with all their dealers or dealership, actually not just countrywide, but also regionally. Lastly, on strategic alignment, align with either CSDD, UN Global Compact, GRI expectations. All those frameworks that you are using, align your expectations or the expectations with that. And then track critical metrics, whatever it is. These were for Green Valley. And lastly, collaborate with your suppliers on different activities. Work with them to reduce plastic use or to shift to recyclable materials. So the reality is that it is hard work. It's easier said than done, but suppliers don't, because they don't always have the capacity or the systems that you have as a large organization, but you have no choice. The alternative is losing, business or, facing that legal liability. It's only a matter of time before it is a law or a policy. So we have the last, I think it's the second last question. Please bear with us. How do you currently track your sustainability data from your suppliers? Yeah. If you do, we are also available to support the training with your suppliers, and that can be discussed further on the modalities of these particular trainings. So you can give us that information and we can know how to support you. The link is in the chat function, or you can scan the QR code. So this partially, there are the pilot phase. Okay. Additionally, the information that you share with us, we can actually, support, more or less use you as a case study or share your impact story on what it is that you do. So please feel free to share your information, share your honest feedback, and we can, go further at this. I like the 20% that are at yes regularly. I think we can actually co-create something for those that are not yet. And additionally, this data that we get here, we will, if you are in the not yet category, then we can be able to link you up with one who's at yes and does it regularly for peer learning. So it's very important, the data that you provide us with. Okay, step 11 is on the measurement system setup. So you have the data. How do you set up a robust measurement system that aligns with the global standards that align with the UN Global Compact? Think of your KPIs in 3 levels: input metrics, process metrics, and input metrics is the raw, consumption data, the raw data that you have, headcount, etc. Process metrics, you're looking at efficiency, and then the outcome metrics. Okay, so when you align them in a tree, you are inputting the drive processes, processes that drive outcome. So you look at it in that particular sense. KPI tree alignment. You connect the process metric to the outcome metrics. And then ensure also that your KPI is cascaded from strategy to operational level. As we say, it is everyone's responsibility. So the reporting cadence is ensuring that you have a monthly operational review of the ESG data. There are, along the way, you might have a metric, and along the way you find that indeed, it doesn't serve any, it's not purpose, but it doesn't, we don't derive value from this. When you have these monthly operational reviews, then you are able to drop that. Also, update your board and CEO level quarterly and set annual external reporting timelines. With the UNGC, the communication and progress report is required between 1st April to 31st of July, and I hope you join us as you work towards submitting that. On formula standardization, we talked about it. Define how you calculate, train your members, set clear formulas. Actually, just provide a ready formula, a document for the rest of the team. On global standard linkage, look at the other reporting frameworks that are, and what are the requirements. Integrate scenario analysis into your measurement and also benchmark your performance against peers. This is an example of Green Valley's dashboard at 12 months, and you are also able to come up with such a dashboard. The last phase, that is phase 4, and it's about measuring and reporting. So you've built your baseline, you've set targets, you've implemented your quick wins, you have engaged your team and your suppliers, and now it's time to report. What do you need to do so? You need first focusing on internal reporting and also governance review. Integrate your ESG metrics on a monthly operation pack into your standard monthly management accounts. When you're having monthly meetings or departmental meetings, ensure that they are integrated. Have quarterly board ESG paths, as we have said, update them, present a 2 to 3 page summary on the progress against the targets. Then have a risk register, ensure that it is updated and you have all the relevant information in there. The governance checklist that we have here, look at the sustainability linked loans that are available, looking at the corrective actions, the CapEx tracking, the stakeholder feedback that you've received. Are you in compliance with the regulatory bodies? Then if after the internal bit, you're looking at the external reporting. Here is the UN Global Compact communication on progress, and it's a mandatory annual digital disclosure for all business participants. It covers governance, human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption policies and outcomes. Then there's also the MSC, IFRS, so the typo there, and we also have credibility and assurance. So ensure that you move towards limited assurance. Ensure that if you are able to, assure or rather audit your data, that is highly encouraged to avoid greenwashing risks. How often? Of course, annually. The COP is required annually, and a number of these disclosures as well. Ensure materiality is focus on your reports. Avoid greenwashing by all means, and also ensure that your assurance roadmap starts internally with your audit verification and moves externally to the public stakeholders. So this is an example of Green Agros. We came up with their sustainability report. It entailed their CEO statement. It identified their material topics. It shared their performance data, the case studies, be it the employees or the communities. This is where CSR comes in. Look at the key learnings and challenges. Remember, sustainability is a journey. So you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be truthful and ethical. So they identify their key learnings and also identify what comes next. Last question is whether you are ready to publicly report on your sustainability. The link is in the chat, and also the QR code is there for you. Are you ready to publicly report on your sustainability? If you're not, you need more time. You're the people we can support with on trainings of sustainability reporting. If you're ready now, good case study or someone that can support. Perfect. I see a number of you are on the right track. That's good. Even those that need more time. The COP, we call it a training ground for sustainability reporting. That is a communication and progress report. And with that, it helps you understand what metrics you're looking for. You understand how to collect data. So that is something you can look into. Thank you so much for your feedback. Keep it coming even as we move on to the next slide. This is technically the last step. You've submitted your your sustainability report. Now you have to learn, iterate, and scale. It's a continuous improvement cycle. So one, on closing gaps, you analyze the deviations. If you missed a target, why was that target missed? Was it unrealistic? Was our implementation weak? Was there an external factor? Is it drought? Is it floods that made people not pay premium? Such things. Then refine your data collection. As we said, it's not about perfection. So you had a data collection tool, you saw it was ambiguous. So refine it at that process, update your risk register as well with new insights from the implementation. On financial integration, embed the ESG into your budget. If it didn't make it in the previous year, ensure that it is included in the next financial year. Link your KPIs to incentives, both for staff and also for the executive, and also leverage your performance for better financing terms. On scaling proven pilots, where you've identified you have successful initiatives, roll them out to all other sites, for all other departments. Expand your supplier engagement program. If you started with, your tier 1 had 10 suppliers, roll it out to the next tier, which has an additional 10, so now you have 20 on board. Increase your investment in very high impact projects where you have identified and verified return on investment. Then lastly, strategic refresh. Conduct scenario tests. That is, what if water becomes 30% more scarce? How do you operate? What if carbon tax, increase? What if NEMA increases costs on, cost on adhering to a particular policy? What happens? So conduct those scenarios, stress tests. Refresh your materiality assessment. Nothing is cast on stone. Ensure that you review your materiality topics and refresh them. Update also your long-term targets based on your performance and also based on the science. The mindset behind this is that sustainability is a marathon. It's not a 100-meter sprint. Celebrate the wins, ensure that you learn from your failures, ensure that you iterate, and also you keep moving, you scale. This is Green Valleys. I shall leave it at that. As you can see, they identified their key progresses and they identified their ongoing challenges. So I'll invite Steve back to take us through UN Global Compact and what it is that we do to support you within this sustainability roadmap action.
Thank you very much, Ivonia, for that very detailed deep dive into a roadmap. I hope we're all feeling energized and know exactly what we can do tomorrow. But I want to make this very brief in terms of time. Just wanted, for those who are not familiar with the Global Compact, to take you through who we are. We are the world's largest sustainability initiative, and our objective is to support business with the operations and strategies that have them aligned with sustainability, with the SDGs, with the Sustainable Development Goals. We do this through 10 principles that you had Ivonia speak through. These 10 principles are anchored in 4 pillars of work. Our 4 pillars of work are on human rights, on labor, on environment, and on anti-corruption. So we are a global initiative, and we operate decentralized in different countries. We're in about 70 different countries here in Africa, Europe, Asia, all across the globe. Next slide. So the real benefits of joining Global Compact is having deep dives, much like the ones we had today, but tracks that the organizations can actually walk along with. So if we were talking about building a sustainability roadmap, we can deep dive into looking at a roadmap from a climate perspective, a roadmap from a gender perspective, from a business and human rights perspective through our different accelerators. Ivonia mentioned opportunities for cross-learning and cross-pollination depending on where we are on a sustainability journey. So we also have opportunities where we structure peer learning forums and dialogues where we talk about the issues within our organizations and the issues beyond our organizations. How do we interact with policy, with investors, with government, and how do those play into our sustainability lead and its sustainability roadmap? In a nutshell, we serve 4 key purposes. First is connect, build new connections through peer learning and events and collaborative opportunities that we create. And through those connections, we advance your learning. So the learning of the staff within your organization, the learning of the organization within itself. And beyond that, we also help you cultivate leadership within your staff, leadership as an organization to demonstrate what you're doing on sustainability and how to communicate that to others, either by inspiration or to give security to your stakeholders that you are walking the talk. And we do this through a myriad of ways, through events, through tools and resources. We have an online global academy, we have peer learning groups, we have accelerator programs, we advocate for policy and things that require material to this geography. And also, we are very innovative, and we have think labs which are looking at the future. What is AI going to what's AI going to mean for sustainability? So these are the different ways that we can engage with you as a Global Compact participant. But just to recap what has been mentioned today, if you were to take away anything, it's by day 30, you should have at least an ESG lead appointed within your organization and a data collection process in place. Those are very, very key things. You can have data grievance channels or applications also to different forums, like saying the Global Compact application. And also forming a committee is a good one. But if you could just have an ESG lead appointed, you have done a lot for your organization. Within 60 days is to have a target, a smart target, one that's measurable, that you can track within for your organization. Quick targets and mapping where your quick wins are. And then in 90 days, what you really should have is a roadmap, a very high-level roadmap that you can have adopted by your organization that is linked to a material issue that you have within your organization. And then the other things start to fall into place. You don't need a team of 100 people. You don't need a macro budget. So that is a very big concern for most. All you need is initiative and buy-in and a clear way to demonstrate through your organization that there is a business case for sustainability. Next slide. So we are at the end, we're at the top of the hour. And if we had any more questions, we could answer them. I hope those who put their questions in the chat box feel sufficiently answered. We also have things to say that we also have other webinars coming up on specific reporting frameworks like the IFRS 1 and 2, on emissions management, on how SME resilience, so strengthening business continuity through ESG, but specifically with an SME lens. So we have all these information sessions coming up. Should you have any questions, we're happy to respond to them on the chat. Thank you very much for staying through. You've seen almost 100% retention through the call. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your participation. As we mentioned at the beginning, we will share all the information with us. Please feel free to stay connected with us through our email addresses. Info is monitored all the time. Jump on our website, see our activities, find us on LinkedIn, like our posts.
Join the UN Global Compact if you're not a participant.
Join the UN Global Compact if you're not a participant. Thank you for mentioning that. So thank you very much. We'll keep the line open just if anybody has any additional questions for the next 5 minutes, and we'll close the call off at 11:40 sharp. Jerry, thank you very much for your question. If I could read it out, since there's no legal application, enforcing on sustainability for businesses is practically minimal implementation. Well, I think there's a bit more to that question. Yeah, there is legal obligation for enforcement on sustainability, and it's a question of how do organizations see what is out there and map sustainability to it. For example, sustainability has obligations around anti-corruption. Governance is around anti-corruption. There is legal obligation and enforcement for corruption within the private sector. So you can be litigated against. So what we see more of is that organizations are not realizing that there is a legal obligation. Yeah. For some areas, yes, the legal obligations are yet to come. As we mentioned, like IFRS 1, IFRS 2, those are coming, they're coming about. So we are trying to sensitize organizations to be more earlier prepared. But there are so many current obligations that there are. Livonia mentioned them in the course of the presentation. Yeah. I think what is the critical question is how to change sustainability from a policy document to actually implementing it within the organization. And that's a mindset that must start at the leadership. That's why at the very beginning we were asking, what is the challenge, what's the biggest barrier facing implementation of sustainability initiatives within your organization? So if the leaders within your organization, and you convene a lot of forums for CEOs of organizations, sometimes focusing on a sector, sometimes sector agnostic, to sensitize them so that they can understand that there is need beyond a checkbox of a policy document to implement these within the organizations. As Global Compact, in as much as there are gaps in the legal enforcement which are working forward, our primary agenda is to demonstrate the business case. Yeah. So regulations will always keep changing, but the business case will stay constant. These EU regulations change every couple of years, but the business case will always remain that you can access sustainable linked loans, you can access lower energy consumption bills, XYZ. So it's really about the business case and not the regulations. Regulations is just to avoid, the risk of exposure or litigation.
And additionally, sustainability it shouldn't be governed by regulations. It's doing business for good. So looking at it, planet, people, profit. You'd want all that cohesively growing and ensuring that your business is secured or your business's future is secured a year from. With certificates, no, we'll not be issuing certificate on this, maybe in the other coming sessions. And just to be clear, also the other coming sessions will be restricted to our participants. And yeah.
Frameworks financially focused when partnership extends to other countries. To be able to consider regulatory reforms within East Africa, we would also appreciate a framework comprehensive data points and sources for the baseline assessment.
That's noted. That's noted, Harmony. I think when we have that one-on-one induction, we'll be able to identify the regulatory frameworks within your region or within your market to ensure that you're actually aligned and you're able to, implement your sustainability roadmap to its maximum potential.
Yeah, but good call, especially for our next forums. We'll try and take also a broader perspective and look at the region and see what other regulatory frameworks could apply, noting that we have also Uganda, Tanzania, and also Zambia. Yeah, but thank you for that. Duly noted. But for yours, I believe as a participant, we have a very deliberate approach with you and we'll walk you through your comprehensive data points for your baseline assessment. Okay, we are at 11:40. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you very much for your engagement. We look forward to seeing you as a Global Compact new entrant or continuing or increased engagement of any kind. So thank you very much for joining. We will share the collateral after this meeting. But thank you very much and have a great productive day ahead.
Okay, well, thank you.